Good evening. This is Manuel Rita on La Voz de Whatcom here in Ferndale, Washington. And today we have a friend that is running for office. And I think I'll let him do most of the talking. I will ask him questions when I feel led. That's the way that I've always done it in KSVR down in Mount Vernon. It's kind of that's my nature, like thinking outside the box. If he says something, I'll hold on to it. I'll ask him when he's done with the story.
Okay,
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and the show's
great.
yours.
Well, thank you for having me, Manuel. Again, my name is Doug Chadwick, and I'm running for the office of Whatcom County Sheriff. I'm currently the Undersheriff at the Whatcom County Sheriff, so I've been there 29 years, and I started as a patrol deputy, and I've worked my way up through the ranks. I've held a number of specialty assignments, so I've got a broad range of experience and skill sets that I've learned along the way. And currently, in my current role, I oversee law enforcement, I oversee corrections, and I oversee emergency management. So those are the main functions that the sheriff's office oversees. And it's a little different than, a little more complex than a police department because we have a variety of things. Police departments within a city are focused strictly on law enforcement, whereas sheriff's office has countywide jurisdiction for law enforcement, again, corrections. So we serve all the communities. And then emergency management if there's a natural disaster like a flood, an earthquake, or something like that. So that's in a nutshell my experience at the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office. But before that, I've been a lifelong resident of Whatcom County. I grew up here. I was born here. Went to Mount Baker High School and graduated. I went to Western Washington University, and it was at Western Washington University that I was pursuing a career in medicine. I wanted to be a doctor. And one of my classmates in high school, Mandy Stavick, she was a year behind me. In 1989, she came home for Thanksgiving break, and she was abducted and killed. And I knew some of her family. I knew her friends. They were classmates of mine. And I also saw how that impacted, especially the Acme and Van Zant area where she lived and where this occurred, and how it really shook that small community's sense of security and safety. And, what I was pursuing was something to, how could I best serve my community? And I thought I wanted to do that as a doctor. But the more I learned about that case, and after a couple of years went by and it was unsolved, and those impacts were still being felt by the community, I felt compelled to pursue a career in law enforcement, something that I'd previously thought about, but I had changed career paths in college. But ultimately, I graduated from Western, and then I pursued a career in law enforcement, applying with the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office. So I was hired there in 1994, and I've been there ever since. And I'm proud to say several years ago, after nearly 30 years of that case being unsolved, dedicated detectives, patrol deputies, a lot of people worked on that case for a lot of years. We had subject matter experts come in from other jurisdictions and really help us with that case. And ultimately, with changes in technology with DNA evidence, we're able to identify a suspect and arrest that suspect and hold them accountable for their actions and bring justice to the victim, Mandy Stavick. And Bill Elfa and myself, the current sheriff, went out on her 80th birthday and told her that we had found the person responsible for the death of her daughter, and that we were moving forward and holding that person accountable. So that brought a sense of relief and some closure to the community and the family members that had been hurt for so long. And we see that so often in these cases, especially when there's missing persons and people have lost a family member, and they don't have those answers, and there's no closure for the family. They just are always wondering. So we work very hard to resolve those cases, even cold cases that are 20, 30 years old. We continue to work on those. And I know when I was a chief criminal deputy specifically with the Stavick case, we sent a detective to Cambodia to follow up on the lead. So we were constantly getting tips and leads, and we followed up on every one of them. We didn't discard it. We followed it through as far as we can. And like I said, at the end of the day, we were able to find the suspect, Tim Bass, and hold him accountable.
Okay. Very good. And, and as far as I heard about the story on the radio, and your name came up during the time, Bill Alpha,
Mhm.
and basically I have somewhat been involved in some of the things going on, and that's what it takes, as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm.
having the facts and following through with your word, and along with the men that we have here and as working under the sheriff's department. It's very important. We want a safe community. We're going to have a safe community. I believe this person here before you is one person that'd be worthy to lead us. Bill Alpha, me and him go back many years,
Yeah,
and even then, I think he'll still be around.
he will.
So anyways, he will always be there. But I know a lot of the Hispanic community has actually reached out to him. I personally have been involved with him too, and I was going to ask you one question. Now that we're getting about the Hispanic stuff, is there is there a few Hispanics or other people of color in the police department, in the sheriff's department?
We do. The sheriff's office, as Whatcom County becomes more diverse, we have more people applying and going through the process. And we've got people, their background and ethnicity, Hispanic, African American, East Indian, Punjabi, Native American. So we have a broad cross section. And again, at the end of the day, you want your police department or your sheriff's office to be representative of the community they serve. So it's important that we have people from all different backgrounds and all different perspectives applying. If you're interested in law enforcement and you want to help your community, one of the best ways you can do that is, apply to be a law enforcement officer, a sheriff's deputy, a corrections deputy, because we need good quality people. But it's important that we have those different perspectives in their voices, because everybody has a different experience. And again, that just goes towards when you have a law enforcement agency that is representative of the community we serve. That's how we build that public trust.
Good.
And we cannot do our job without the trust of the public. People have to know that they can trust us, they can come to us with information, and we're going to do our jobs regardless of their background, their race, their religion, anything like that. We don't discriminate.
Okay, good. Well, that's what you are listening to, and basically, in that manner, and that's what we need. We need a strong leader to continue the job. Period.
Absolutely.
I want to bring something up. I know this is kind of the subject of police, but I do know, the Northwest annexes.
They're at Smith and Northwest.
That's correct.
Yes.
There has been a lot of veterans has voiced concerns about that building. A lot of veterans want that building to be fixed up for veterans, but not to be destroyed. It's over 100 years old. My little baby sister was born there.
Oh, is that
So
right?
I have an interest in that.
Yeah,
But still, I believe very strongly. I hope that it stays still. I hope they will develop it into a good community type of building. And we need something like that, because there on the Northwest, there's soccer fields next door and everything else. And to me, I think it would be good. I don't know how it would be as far as I've seen a few police cars parked in that area too at times.
Okay. Yeah, some of our, we have a county shop where we service our vehicles. That's right behind that.
Oh, okay.
We also have fire marshals that have trucks that are marked similar to the sheriff's office, but they actually work under planning and development, and that's who's housed in that building. I know exactly the historic building you're talking about, and you're probably familiar with Joel Douglas and some of those other folks that are really advocating to preserve that building. And like I said, I know having a veteran center or something like that has been brought up. I also know that the county is looking at, building some new buildings on that location as well. So hopefully there's an opportunity for, if somebody's able to utilize that facility and they're able to save it and still do what they need to do. But those are decisions that the executive's office, the council, and our planning and development facilities department oversee.
Yeah, and I will be having one of the candidates on the program too. So I know both of them. You know, the new one coming on board, I've talked to him a little bit. Down at the fair is very casual and very straightforward and to the point, and
Hmm.
that's what we need.
Hmm.
We need somebody that will carry their word like yourself. And it's important that we have to have the trust in people such as we have right now, because if we start losing the trust, we're not going to do very well.
Yeah.
And so, in reality, I think it would be a great thing, you know, that we work together as a community. And the reason that I brought up this multicultural individuals applying for work, whatever, I'm on the Frontier Equity
Hmm.
Committee.
Okay.
And in reality, I don't feel it's got much teeth. And I'll say it, even though the people who I'm with are probably washing, but in reality, throughout the county, all the cities, how many people of color are in the government? I see some of the people out here in Ferndale, for example. I don't see no people of color.
Hmm.
So there is an issue there. And that's one thing that we bring people like yourself on board
Hmm.
to, that you acknowledge the things that we need to improve.
Sure.
You will be doing your part in hiring the people. Will you be part of the hiring or the advising or what?
So I am currently in my role as the undersheriff. I'm kind of the final layer before the sheriff. So the sheriff and I make those decisions on hiring right now.
Okay.
So we vet and we have a very comprehensive. It starts with a polygraph.
Mm.
There's a background investigation. We have psychological investigations, and then we do medical examinations. So make sure that people are able to fulfill the duties of the job and that we're hiring the right people. But that folks with those qualifications come in all shapes, colors, creeds, religions. So again, it's important that you have those perspectives, because when people see law enforcement show up, when they see people that are they believe represent them,
Mm-hmm.
they're more likely to have that trust and be willing to cooperate. Because like I said, in order for us to do our job effectively, the society has to allow us to do that job.
Yes.
And if society doesn't trust law enforcement, it's very hard for them to come forward and provide us information.
Mm-hmm.
And trust that we're going to do the right things. And we have a great department at the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office, and I think throughout Whatcom County. But there's always examples of bad apples, and we move very quickly to remove those from the profession.
Yeah, and that's when I did run into one of those bad apples. I shouldn't say bad apples, but the situation, the wording that he said to me was, I said, he's a young guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But anyway, on Portal Way, I was driving by and I got stopped by the young sheriff. And he said, "Where's your steel?" And I said to myself, "What's guys? You mean where's my gun?" And in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
I know what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, I said, "Sir, I don't have no steels on my car."
Yeah.
And I told him who he was. I said, "Oh, okay, go ahead and go." Individuals like that, and it could be any deputy, any sheriff. Make sure that they know a little bit about the. It's difficult. The Hispanics have their own way sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to identify and be able to understand their work ethics, their wording, and so forth. As long as there's respect, the Hispanics will be okay and follow the orders, because there is a lot of respect toward the law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Not in Mexico so much, but here they have been really good, except for the young kids or they haven't grown up yet. But other than that, do you have any kind of and not just Hispanics? It could be a Punjabi. We don't know all their ethics roots, their actions, how they react to it being stopped and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be certain things in place that we can make him feel at peace and not be hot-headed or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know how do you normally
do
do that?
So we do some, there's, when you go through the police academy, there's diversity training. And I was actually an instructor for fair and impartial policing, which really is at the core of what law enforcement does. It's just treating people fairly, treating people with dignity and respect.
Okay.
but it also talks about implicit bias. Not explicit bias is somebody that's openly racist, but implicit bias that's human nature. We all have biases, and that's quite frankly just based on our experiences, because we're all the totality of our experiences. So one of the things we talk about in that class when I would teach it is a concept called contact theory. And if you have positive contacts with a group, whether it's based on their gender, their ethnicity, maybe even their religion, if you have positive interactions, then you have a positive perception, so that when you're interacting with them, there's those biases don't play into it. So implicit is really the unconscious bias. So we try and encourage them, whenever you're making a law enforcement decision or taking action, it should always be based on the facts, not on who they are, what your experiences are. You just need to base your decisions on the facts, nothing else. So that's one of the things we talk about. But again, they talk about that contact theory. If you have positive interactions, so if the community has positive interactions with the police, the next time they contact them, they're going to have a positive perspective, and they'll probably be cooperative.
Yes.
I used to tell deputies in that class, I said, every traffic stop, every contact you make is an advertisement for the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office and the profession of law enforcement. I said, if you treat somebody poorly, the next person that deals with them has no idea that this person already has a bad feeling. They don't know what's coming. So potentially we can create officer safety issues for other officers if we're not being respectful and we're not being professional.
Do you get very much feedback from the community when there's a police officer that's kind of went off the track or went off the road, and the language and the behavior? Do you have very much of that? Complaints, whatever you want to call it.
We do. So we have an Office of Professional Standards. So we actually have you can come in and file a complaint in person, handwritten, or you can do it online. But Sheriff Elfo and the rest of our command staff, we take those very seriously, and we look into every one of them. Now, we may find after we look at it that, sometimes it's people that don't like the fact that they got a ticket. But when we look at it, were they speeding? Yes. Was it the officer or deputy respectful? Yes. Were they within policy? Yes. Well, then they didn't do anything wrong, but we understand why you don't like the fact that you got a ticket. So we take those complaints and we track those. And actually, if you go on our website, you can see, we actually show all our investigations. So we do that quarterly.
Oh, good.
We show traffic stops. We show pursuits. We show use of force. We show complaints. So
let me get this thing out of here. Usually we have people calling in or something, but I don't see anybody wants to chat today. So
all right.
But anyway, this interview is going to be on YouTube.
Okay.
And for some of you are seeing it right now, but it's going to be shared to the community, throughout the community, even all at YouTube. It goes all the way to Skype.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so in reality, at least you have met somebody here that's, I believe, is qualified to be the sheriff. And I asked if he wanted to come on board, and he's here before you. And so I think it's important to one candidate that you can respect and honor because of what he has been doing. And that's what we need. People of respect, people that will follow with their word and their deeds for this county, because we need good police protection. Right now we're okay. If we were down in Washington, D.C., whatever, it's a mess over there right now, and it's not very nice. No. Unfortunately, we are not down there. We're here in Washington State. We're here in Whatcom County. And of course, we're basically close to Canada. So we need the right people on board. I'd like to thank you, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
If you have any questions whatsoever, you can send it by chat, or you can send us an email. My email here at the station is nwwhcc@yahoo.com. And it stands for Northwest Washington Hispanic Chamber Commerce at yahoo.com. So anyway, if there are any questions, I don't see anybody raising their hands or anything. So I guess we call it quits.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank
Very
you.
good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
There.